You betcha, I'm George, and welcome to How to Avoid Motion Sickness in VR. Now, this is a topic that I am very familiar with as a VR YouTuber because I have gotten motion sickness many times. And I do not get sick very easily. It's just the funny thing on different boats and planes and whatnot. And in case you don't know what motion sickness is, it's basically a disconnect between what you see and what you feel that confuses your brain, makes you sick. And some symptoms include vomiting, pale skin, headaches, cold sweat, dizziness, and irritability. And in this video, I'm going to share some ways that hopefully to help you overcome motion sickness, as well as I'm going to give you a little more insight into what motion sickness is and how it's caused, and what to do if you get sick. And if you learn anything in this video, please go ahead and smack that subscribe button and let's hop into the video. So some common motion sickness activities, like I mentioned, were roller coasters, which that's kind of funny because that's one of the first things that was kind of made into VR, where you can experience roller coasters in VR, boats, planes, even cars. It's about the disconnect between what you see and what you feel. Usually, like roller coasters will be drops in your stomach. And the funny thing, like I mentioned, is I don't get sick easily, but on any of these things, but I have a lot in VR. So now let's talk about what actually causes motion sickness. Your inner ears, in particular, help control your sense of balance. They are part of a network called the vestibular system. This system includes three pairs of semicircular canals and two sacs called the saccule and the utricle. They send information about what's going on around you to your brain. The semicircular canals hold a fluid that moves with the turn of your head. The saccule and the utricle are sensitive to gravity. They tell the brain whether you're standing up or lying down. The inner ears are only one type of information for your brain to process. Two more can be seen in the picture on screen, which are your skin and muscles, and then the main one for VR, your eyes. Motion sickness is an imbalance between these different sensory inputs. What happens is your brain gets confused by the sensory mismatch overload, and the result is motion sickness. Now, you might be wondering, what do you do if you get motion sick? Well, it depends on your degree of how sick you are, but I would recommend to stop playing VR immediately and stop moving and sit down. Now, I usually have ended up pushing myself about as far as I can go, which I would not recommend because that is not fun. If you do that, I recommend laying down and closing your eyes because you get to the point where you feel like you might throw up. Sometimes it might help to eat something small like crackers or water, or if you feel bad enough, you might not want to eat anything at all. You might not actually recover until you have gone to bed and the next day, because I have had some experiences like this. And the reason that you might not recover until you've gone to bed the next day is because your body does some amazing things when you sleep. Not only does it repair your body and recover basically the sleepiness that you had from occurred from that day, but it does a lot of processing of what happened during the day. And for sports and other things like riding bikes, there's this thing called muscle memory, which is basically once you learn to do something like throw a ball, your brain can learn to do it with your muscles without really thinking about it. And just a smooth action that it can recall easily and pretty exact. And it does something similar to this where it processes the motion sickness that you went in during the previous day. And something in the industry is called your VR legs, which it takes time to develop, which is basically your tolerance to getting sick from motion sickness in VR. Now, I can attest that my VR legs have become a long way because like I said, I didn't get motion sickness very easily, but I just got so sick in VR so many times and I had to lie down. But over time, I've just slowly not gotten as sick anymore, and I can definitely say that I have my VR legs now that I can play almost any game. And most of the time when you get sick, it's games that you use something like a joystick to move around where you're actually standing still in real space. Games where you move around in a real room while you're in VR or teleport are a lot less likely to make you sick. There's also something called a vignette, which most games have, which is basically like shaders around the screen. I don't necessarily like to use it just because it takes me out of the immersion that the game is offering, which might be the reason why it helps with motion sickness. So talking about your VR legs kind of goes into how to avoid motion sickness. That would be the main way I would say is to develop your VR legs. But if you are still having problems, I have some other recommendations that you can try. Getting enough air in the room is definitely a big one. If you're in a stuffy room, that can definitely hinder how healthy you feel. There's also different medicines that you can take beforehand for motion sickness. Dramamine and Benadryl are a couple of them that are more common. There's also Maldemar, which is I've heard was recommended because it doesn't make you sleepy like the other ones, which you don't want to be in a VR experience. But that one is prescription. So, but any of these, I'd recommend talking to your doctor if you wanted to go the prescription route or medicine route. Another tip is that water is good and alcohol is bad, which is a common one for sickness, I guess, at all. So to recap, motion sickness is a disconnect between what you see and what you feel, from your skin and your muscles to your eyes and your ear. And it can be really difficult to overcome motion sickness in VR because the best way to really get past it is to develop your VR legs. But you really need to get sick before you do that. And it's almost impossible to have. I don't know really anybody that has overcome motion sickness without first getting sick, who has had tolerance really to it. Well, I mean, I have tolerance to it, but I still got really sick, which it's kind of crazy, but I'd definitely recommend getting your VR legs is the best way to do it. And with that, if you learned anything in this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, leave a comment below and a like. And with that, uh, good luck getting your VR legs. I know it was definitely a process for me, but it was fun. It was fun. Except when I got really sick. That wasn't super fun. But until next time, see you guys later. Peace out.